All right, I think we're live. So I'm here with Cathy Blatnik, and we're going to talk about her son Dominic. And so, Cathy, why don't you give us the kind of Dominic's background, kind of his backstory growing up, and where he's been, and just kind of that story to start out with.
Yep, sure. Dominic, I'm a mom of three. I have a stepson that is 40, married, and lives in California. I have a 28-year-old daughter that got married last year, and she lives in Sterling Heights. And then Dominic is a 20-year-old, so he's kind of the baby of our family. Dominic was diagnosed with autism at 2.5, ADHD, anxiety disorder at 3, epilepsy 9 years ago, and he also has an intellectual disability.
Um, so you guys grew up in this area?
Yeah, my husband, actually, I'm from Maryland. Husband is from Cleveland. We met in the DC area, moved here in 2001. So my stepson was a senior in high school. Lauren was 5, our daughter, and Dominic was not here yet. My husband just retired almost 2 years ago. So I consider myself a Michigander now, but yeah, we've lived, let's see, December of 2001. So how many years is that? Almost 23 years we've lived in Michigan.
Where did Dominic go to school?
Dominic actually started in school when he was 3 in the Okemos School District. If you have something called an IEP, you can be in the public school system until you're 26. So he's been, since he was 3, he's 20, so 17 years in the Okemos Public School District. Always in a separate classroom. That's just the best way he learns. So he's always been in a special education classroom. Yeah, so people say, when is he going to leave school? And I said, when he's ready, he'll tell us when he's ready to leave the school system. But he
Is he
loves
still?
going to school. He loves the routine and the
Yeah,
structure.
yeah. Um, is he at Okemos High School?
He's at Okemos High School. He's been there since he was a freshman. So he's considered to be grade 12, even though, he graduated, I'd like to say graduated with his typically developing peers in 2022. This year actually is the fourth year he's done vocational work. The first year he was at Delta Dental, then Buddy's Restaurant, then Holiday Inn, and right now he's actually at Launch Trampoline.
Oh
So
yeah.
for 2 periods or 2 hours out of his day, he takes a bus and he does like different kinds of work, which I think is really cool.
What did he do at Delta Dental?
Delta Dental janitorial. Let's see, Buddies, it was food service in the back. I think he made crab rangoons. Holiday Inn, it was like washing like door handles or keeping those clean, folding towels, and then where he is now, he said it sounds like it's mostly in the food area. He said he stacked cups and made French fries. Last week it was chicken nuggets. So he's
Okay.
learning just a variety of different skills.
How did he get into the baking world?
But Dominic's been baking with me. He's been I guess you could say, at my knee since he was 2 or 3 years old. My great grandfather had a bakery in Missouri, and so it'd be Dominic's great great grandfather, my maternal grandfather. When the pandemic hit, we had a lot of extra time, and we were working a couple days a week with this private speech therapist who we've been with for over 10 years, and she was teaching him the different, not really difference, but teaching him, like, if I bake you, if you bake something for me, I'll pay you for it. So I did some investigative work, did a bunch of research on the internet, and there was something called the Michigan Cottage Food Business, which basically has no startup cost. You don't have to get inspected by like the health department, and you can do it out of your house. And I'm like, okay, we have all this time because virtual learning was giving him seizures. It was not a pleasant experience. It just didn't work for him at all.
Yep. Yep.
So we did a lot of just background where it's like this thick for like regulations. It kind of scared me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this, but I thought, okay, we'll give it a try. And if it doesn't work, then we haven't invested any money or anything like that. So we did our first order for a friend. It was for her son's birthday party. She was our very first order. And that was November 28th of 2020. And just this past weekend, I think we're at order total orders 606. So yeah, it's been really mind blowing. I thought only people we knew would order, and we've made just so many connections throughout the community. A lot of our customers have become like family. So it's been a wonderful supportive environment for him. He loves to bake, so and loves
Yeah.
all the aspects of baking. So it's been
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, so when he gets an order, what does this look like? Are you going to the store and he's buying the ingredients for this, or do you guys have like a connection that you buy wholesale from? What does that look like as far as getting the ingredients on the front end?
We go actually to Costco.
Okay.
My stepson actually gave us a family membership. We have a business credit card, so we actually go and buy 25-pound bags of flour, 25-pound bags of sugar, and gigantic things of chocolate chips. And we just keep it in our house. We keep it actually right behind me in our dining room. We just have a box with the different things in it. When we get an order, I like to type it up on a piece of paper, write down the person's name, um, the day they want it, the time they want it, their address, the order, and Dominic likes checking it off every
Yep.
time yeah. So like this, like especially like if we have 4 or 5 orders in one week, then he can pull out that piece of paper and check everything off. I've taught him all different parts of the business. It's interesting because with sensory sensitivities, he doesn't like actually touching the dough. That's not
Yeah.
really one of his favorite things to do. He likes doing the spreadsheet. We have an Excel spreadsheet, and we enter each person's name, what they ordered, and then when we get the money from the customer, then he's able to plug in, the tip if there's any tip. He's learning all that part because he already knows how to put the stuff together. We did that when we first started. Um, but I just like, eventually he's going to be running this business and he'll be the boss. So I want him to learn every single part of the business process. We actually started on a training manual, even though, we're not quite sure when we're going to start, but we have a notebook with a training manual showing how to, how to do all the different steps about like how to make the cookies. Um, just all, just even if you don't think you need to write it down, you do. A lot of those with autism, we take a picture of each step. So a lot of people thought autism are very visual,
Yep.
including Dominic. So he likes to kind of, he can look at the picture and say, okay, the next thing in the recipe is like to do a third, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So then he knows, measure it in a measuring cup, just all those different parts. But as we've gone along, his favorite part is definitely like labeling and weighing and cutting out the labels, and that's where he thrives. We had so many orders this past weekend. Literally, I was tossing the stuff at him and said, Dominic, cut the labels, put it on. We wouldn't have finished if I hadn't taught him that part. We'd probably still be trying to finish because I was doing the baking part, he was doing the labeling, weighing part, because that's a law. The cottage food law says you have to put all the ingredients, how much it weighs, our address, just different things are required to put on the labels. So it's like, thank goodness I taught him that part, or else we would have never we that's poor planning on my part, but literally like at 3 o'clock I'm throwing him containers and said, put the label on here, Dominic, and he was fine. He did it, and did it really quickly. So
He
it's
likes
been,
I would say, repetitive part of it, right? Like, he likes the very spreadsheets and checklists and,
yes.
checking stuff off and
Right.
labeling things, and
Because the
yeah.
recipes change, yeah. Now that you
Yep.
say that, that's probably why he likes that. Because it's not like we make 4 dozen chocolate chip cookies and the next person's 4 dozen. It's different, all different things, and he doesn't like to be rushed, so I have to kind of calm myself down a little
Yeah.
bit. But he did amazing. I mean, yeah, he did amazing. I was like, wow, I'm so glad I taught him this part because no, because I would have had to do it. No, I couldn't do it all, and I shouldn't be doing it all. He should be doing part of it too.
Yeah.
So
As far as the offerings, you've mentioned cookies. Why don't you share all the different, items that you guys offer right now?
I have that on my menu. Do you want me to pull it up on my phone?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me go find it real quick. We make 26 different things. So let me see. And I'd say about half of them are family recipes.
Your recipe book with pictures has to be massive.
It's getting there. Okay, we make bars, breads, brownies, cakes, coffee cakes, cookies, cupcakes, donuts, muffins, and cinnamon rolls. So I would say yeah, about like our sour cream coffee cake. We make two different ones, but we call it Cecilia's sour cream coffee cake. That's my husband. That was my mother-in-law. So she was an amazing baker. So that's like her recipe. So it's pretty cool to be able to share like our family recipes with other people. So like I said, I would have been happy with a couple people. I sit back sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're over 600. It's like I never would have because I had no idea. I've never run a small business or helped Dominic run or help anybody run any kind of business. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But we've had so many people that have just helped us along the way. And our customers, we're sharing about autism, but we're also sharing just what it's like to have a child, an adult child with a disability day to day. And, showing so many people think people with disabilities, can't do very much. And we're trying to change that narrative and saying, yes, if you give somebody what they want to do and what they like to do, they're going to thrive instead of putting them in a job that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Something
think that,
Megan's
no, go ahead.
Megan's always talked about that too when she's
Mhm.
talked about employment is how great of an employee an individual with autism can be if you give them the proper tasks and train them properly,
Right.
because they want to do that job and they want to do it correctly. And a lot of times they're not going to, like with an employee, they may be on their phone messing around, and
Right.
but they're really focused, right, on getting that job done correctly, and they go through the steps as long as they're trained properly.
And a lot of people, because I'm so involved with the Mid Michigan Autism Association, a lot of people, if when they don't do interviews very well because they can't make eye contact, I've had people with autism tell me it's painful.
Yeah.
Dominic doesn't make very good eye contact, but a lot of employers see that as not paying attention or being rude when in fact it's physically painful for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to change the way we interview people with autism or any kind of disability. So that's the way and not putting them in a job that have no interest in. Put
Yep.
them in a job that they already kind of like. If they like, computers, have them do data entry or something. Don't plop them down. Dominic doesn't like to be outside. He doesn't like bugs. He's terrified of bugs. So working as like a ranger or somewhere, a trail guide, no, he would be so upset and stressed out. So he likes to be inside repetitive work and he loves to bake. So it's like the baking business is like the perfect fit for him.
Perfect. So when you're done with an order, how what's the delivery method? How does that work? Is Dominic taking those to each customer? Are you guys doing pickup orders? What's that look like?
The Michigan cottage food requires you can't like mail it. You have to do a face-to-face transaction. So I would say 98% of our deliveries, we take it to the person. We give them, we try to keep it within 35, 40 miles of where we live. So we're not, we have drove like halfway if we're doing one to Detroit. Don't really talk about that, but we try to keep within 35, 40 minutes. I would say, like right now he's at school. I did a delivery this morning to Langsburg. It depends on the customer. Some people want it during the workday, some people don't care. Um, so we try to give the customer as many options as we can. Some people are very, like we have an order right now to do a birthday cake for somebody who's turning 95. She's like, I want it on this date at this time. So then we work that out. A lot of people just say whenever you want to do it. So I try to involve Dominic because trying to teach him those customer service skills. Sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does, but he needs to work on that. He's terrified of dogs, so anybody has a dog, he will run as fast as he can away from the door. So I'm trying to say, Dominic, it's okay. Some of our regular customers know when they keep their dog, in another room when we knock on the door, so they know. He just had a really bad experience with the dog when he was little,
Yep.
so he Dis is terrified, of this. We're still working on that, but and I try to get him to, still trying to teach him how to say, here's your order, and people are never judgmental. They're always so, makes me, they're just always so kind and gentle and compassionate. It's been a wonderful experience for him. We haven't had anybody that's been rude. Everybody's been beyond kind to him. I think because they think what he's doing is great. A lot of people say we're inspiring, and I'm like, I guess sort of, but if you're given if you give somebody the right, like you said, put them in place or put them in a job or position, they're going to thrive. So we're just trying to change the way people look at autism. That if you put somebody in the right job with their skills that they have, then they can do amazing things.
Yep. How about customers? I'm assuming you have customers from businesses to churches to just individuals that are having a birthday party, like you mentioned with that birthday cake. Is it all across the board? Just
Yep, it is all across the board. Let's see, we went to Coolidge Road. I'm trying to think. I think it's a USDA state office, or they had a conference. So we took a whole bunch of goodies there, and they were going to take them to a 3-day conference in Mount Pleasant. We have we've done weddings, bridal showers, baby showers, celebration of life, weddings. We've done just about everything you can think of, and those, are very special because that's, somebody's wedding or somebody's,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
celebration of life. That's a very personal thing, and the fact that they're reaching out to us and want us to do it, those are some of my favorite. We just did a wedding a couple weeks ago. It was huge, but worth it. She was, the gal that we delivered to. It was just, she was so happy. She was so supportive, and I'm like, thank you for letting us do it for your wedding. That's a really, really important event. And we love all our customers, no matter what it's for. Some are small, some are big orders. We've done just about anything. Yeah, church, anything you can think of, we've probably delivered. Ellie's Place,
Yep.
we're doing an order for them in a couple weeks. The Davies Project, any of the local places have ordered from us, and it's a lot of it, I would say almost 100% of our customers right now are word of mouth. Either they've ordered before or they've heard it from somebody else and they want to try it.
Do you offer minimums, and is there a maximum? So you'll take on any size order.
We pretty much, well, we learned my lesson one time doing one. Actually, I think it was to launch trampoline. She wanted like 6 of every kind of cookie. So I guess a minimum is a dozen, is
Okay.
what we say. But yeah, pretty much whatever anybody wants. We like the chocolate chip cookies. We offer milk chocolate or semi-sweet, and then pecans or walnuts because it's kind of made to order. And we
Okay.
don't do the real fancy decorating. Sprinkles are the extent of our decorating expertise. So, and Dominic,
What
he frosted a whole for this past weekend. He frosted, let's see how many. I think we did 8 dozen cupcakes. I think he frosted almost 8 dozen cupcakes.
what's the largest order you've ever handled?
Oh boy. I think biggest one with Potter Park Zoo, they had their first ever diversity day. We made 500 chocolate chip cookies. I think that's the biggest.
Was
But it was
that the
all
one
one kind, so we were able to do that pretty quickly.
that
That
was
was
this
probably
year, right?
yeah, I think it was a couple of months ago. But I
Yeah.
started the day before. I don't know
Yeah.
what possessed me to wait till Saturday morning to do this huge order, the 20 dozen, but we got it done. I work well under pressure, but then Dominic doesn't, so I have to kind of figure out how much I have to kind of gauge, like, do I let him frost and will that take too long? Will I be able to get it done? But I need to be better sometimes at organizing myself. So, but yeah, he and I've worked out a pretty good balance of duties. And I ask
When
him too. Sometimes he doesn't want to frost. I always ask him. I said, Dominic, do you want to help bake? No, yes. I give him, he's able to answer for himself. So I don't want to always assume he doesn't or always assume he wants to. So I always ask him. And then, like with all the cupcakes, I said, do you need to take a break? Are you doing okay? Because in the back of my mind with the epilepsy, the triggers are stress,
Yep.
and that kind. So I'm kind of thinking of that. It's like I always ask him. I probably bug him too much, but I just want to make sure I'm not overwhelming him because he can't really tell me that. He can't really say, "Mom, that's too much." He just doesn't have the language to be able to say that. So I have to you know, kind of gauge whether it's too much or not. And usually he'll tell me, he'll say, no, I'm done, or yeah, or do you need a break? No, yes. So I always let him kind of call the shots, I guess you could say.
When he's not baking or at school, what are some things that Dominic likes to do?
He likes to read.
Okay.
We
Anything
started that.
anything specific?
They have these who are or who was or who is books. They're right at his reading level. We're almost done with Dr. Seuss, and I think that's book number 6 that we've read since the beginning of the summer. We actually, when the pandemic was in, full blown pandemic, he would read to his sister through Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. And then when he started school again, that kind of fell by the wayside. So I said, okay, this summer we're going to start it again. And I thought, okay, when he starts school, he's not going to do it anymore, but he does. I've learned a lot. Yeah, we've read Dr. Seuss, the Wright brothers, 4 other. They're right at his reading level, and I try to make him sound out the word if he doesn't know it, and try to explain to him what that word means. So it's good. He's practicing his reading, and we're both like learning a lot. Especially Dr. Seuss was around. I grew up with Dr. I was born in 1963. It's like Dr. Seuss was around when, he was real big, and he's still, kids. Dominic was reading his books, so it's
Yeah.
interesting to read about these different people in history. We read about Helen Keller, and just it's been, it's he loves to read. He loves calendars. He has like calendars that he looks at. He likes Legos. Our whole living room floor is full of Legos, and he can put them together like super fast. I'm like, how in the world do you do that? But yeah, he likes he used to do puzzles, but since he did a ton of them during the pandemic, I guess he got burnt out. Doesn't do puzzles anymore. But I'm hoping maybe one day I'll go back to it. But he likes doing the Legos. He can tell if if we accidentally knock into one, he can tell if one little piece is missing, and he'll go over and put it on. And I'm like, Legos stress me out, but he can do, 1,000 piece puzzle in a couple hours. And I'm like, how do you do that? But he'll sit there totally 100% focused for like 2 hours and do this Lego. And I'm like, okay, good for you, Dominic. Not for me, but good for you. But it's impressive.
Yeah, so what else should we know about Dominic that we haven't covered?
I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I can't think. I don't know if I can think of anything else. He's a great kid.
Any
You know,
places specifically locally that he likes to go to? Like, does he Potter Park Zoo, or is he not into that? Is he
he doesn't like being outside.
okay?
If Dominic had his way, he'd be with me 24/7. He's very, very much in his own world. He doesn't like to be outside, so we've tried stuff at the zoo. We've done it from time to time. It's not really a favorite thing. I've tried to get him to go to the trampoline park or to like the sensory friendly movies. Not interested. I think he needs downtime between school. He's getting music therapy, speech therapy. I think he's just tired. He just wants some downtime,
Yeah,
especially yesterday after the big order. I'm like, do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to do something? And he said no. So he just like kind of chilled out and did his thing and looked at my phone, and he can tell me, what he wants to do. I'm like, okay, we need to go look for pants. We're going to a wedding in a couple weeks, and said, let's go look for pants. No. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going to go do that.
not
But
today.
yeah, but I think he needed that, because school, he hasn't even had a complete week of school yet. I
Yeah,
think this is the first week where it's a full week. Last week we had a neurology appointment in Royal Oak, and then we did a television interview in Grand Ledge on Thursday. So it's been very busy.
yeah,
So I think he just needed just like a day to just, because we get up pretty early for school, and he's gone from 7:20 till 2:45. So he's gone for a large portion of the day. He needs time to just kind of chill out. So not be running. It's not good. It gives them, then I think, okay, it's a setup for a seizure. I need to kind of be kind of careful how much I try to put on his plate.
how you mentioned seizures. How often does he have seizures? Are they pretty rare, depending on the overwhelm? Does he, because of the stress? I mean, does he have them often, or is it pretty rare for him?
Now it's pretty rare once we figured out where we don't, the very first one was a classic grand mal seizure. The other, he's on almost 30, usually, like tired, overly tired, a missed medication, lack of, like out of his routine.
Yeah,
So what I tell people is I don't keep him in a plastic bubble, but I have to know, like your tours are great for me, knowing what we're walking into because anxiety, 90% of people with autism have anxiety. If he doesn't know what's going on, then that's a trigger because then it's unexpected. And that's why your tours are so great because then we can look at them and see, then he knows we have to go to sensory friendly. The bright lights
yeah.
um, is a trigger for it. And he just surpassed 10 months seizure free at the end of August.
That's
So
cool. So definitely
that's
a lot of like intentional paying attention to
yes.
triggers and all the different things to make sure that, when he's maybe getting overwhelmed, it's time to take a step back, or, being really intentional with the places that you go to and making sure that they're not overly loud or lights flashing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And at school they have picture schedules and he's pretty much probably at work he's now settled into a routine of doing, the same things. He's done cups, french fries, nuggets, chicken nuggets. So I think, they'll probably just have him do the same, three or four things and then he knows what to expect. I think we all can benefit from being in a routine or knowing what's next instead of just like kind of being surprised. Those with autism just really like their structure. I don't think I've met one person yet with autism that didn't like their routine or structure. I don't have autism, but I like my routine and structure too.
100%. Me
Yeah.
too. Same day, every day is almost the exact same for me, unless we've got something really thrown in there that changes it up. But I do. It's the same morning thing every day. It's the same nighttime routine. It's the same work schedule. It's, to practices at this time. This is when we're going to eat.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
It
I'm the
cuts
exact.
out on the anxiety. Yeah, I mean, when I heard that figure, I'm like, and we tell in our autism awareness trainings that we do, we say that like 90%. If you think about anxiety, like doing your tours, it cuts down so much on that anxiety level. So then at least you're kind of knowing what you're going to expect. And it just to take someone with a disability out into out of their house, it can be really difficult. We had somebody came to our picnic last year that we had at the park zoo. She only stayed like 15 minutes, but she has three kids with varying needs, and I said that's great, even if you just stay 15 minutes, let me get you a bag of chips or something. Just her just coming to the event was just hard enough. And I saw her during the summer at a swimming event that we had, and it was like, I'm like, yeah, you came to another event. So just making people, that's one of my passions is making people feel comfortable at our, events. And then I'm not doing all of it just for Dominic. I'm doing it for everyone else that has a disability. And you want them to feel comfortable. You don't want them to feel like they stand out or people are staring or judging. And so it's a very judgmental world.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
try to use it as a teaching moment.
And very much so. I mean, that's what Megan always says, that it's a lot of people don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
And we need to look at everything as an opportunity to teach somebody, not not judge them, but
Right.
if they haven't experienced it yet, they don't know it. So they just need to be taught, and they'll, through the experience, hopefully learn something from it.
Yeah, that's what yeah. I mean, yeah. I have friends of all different abilities, ages, and just some of the things they've told me, it's just like, oh my gosh, how can people just be so rude? And
Yeah.
then you realize they're being rude. And a lot of people just don't understand autism still. We've done trainings and we're like, how many people here know anything about autism? And it's like 50 people in a room and three people will raise their hand. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, thank God we're here. Here, we're going to start teaching you, these different things. And we offer it, we do it because we want to do it and we don't think we should charge for it. So we don't. And a lot of people appreciate just us coming in and this, it's basically like an introduction to autism. But autism can be very different for each person. And Dominic, I don't like to use the word functioning. I use higher support needs or lower support. And he has higher support needs. I met a gal last week and her daughter has lower support needs. And we're working on a project together for hairstylists, teaching people how to interact with the barbers and hairstylists in their salons. And her daughter's a lot younger than Dominic, but less support needs, and Dominic's older but higher support needs. And we can work together because it's two different perspectives. So I'm really excited about that one.
That's
So
cool. Um, something we didn't cover is how does somebody order from you?
we have an email address, and we also, we don't have a website. A lot of people ask us about that, but we have an email address. And then you can order right through the Facebook page, like a private message.
Okay.
Yep. And we don't use Venmo or anything. We do this cash or a check because Dominic is it's so visual. He likes to be able to count out his money, see the checks. Maybe eventually we'll do that, but only a few people have squawked about that. Most people are like, and once I explain why, then they understand. And about once a month we go to the bank. He fills out the deposit slip, and we go to the bank and deposit. He has a bank account, so teaching him that skill too. I mean, that's just a life skill that
Yep.
everybody should know, is how to endorse a check, and how to, you know, I made up a little money sheet on a piece of paper so he can, write down everything and add it all up, and try to stay away from the calculator, teach him. That was something that his teacher said in the IEP last year, is like he needs to learn about subtracting and adding. So I thought, okay, use the business for that. I just write it out in pencil on a piece of paper and let him do it, and not use the calculator on my phone, but rather figure it out for himself. You won't always have a calculator. He needs to learn those skills of addition and subtraction. So it's a perfect opportunity to do that kind of thing, because he doesn't get homework. He really doesn't get homework from school. He really never has. So I kind of add that. We only do it once a month. Usually we don't, I wait till we have a couple $100, and then we go down and put it into the bank. So, and they all know him at the bank, and they're all really supportive at the bank. So Dominic knows a lot of people in the community, and he knows them and they know him. So it's been really cool. I could talk about this all day, Evan. Just like
Yeah, that's
autism. Autism and Dominic's business, I could talk for like hours.
right.
So,
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think we got a lot of information here.
okay.
So, I'm gonna stop the recording here.